Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, all of you. Welcome, everyone, on Love 101 FM, Facebook, and YouTube Live. This is Family Time. Family Time is about your issues and your relationships, your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please connect with us via all our platforms. You can friend us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Family Life Ministries FLMJA. And on Instagram, you can keep up with what's happening, and that is simply FLMJA. Now, while Family Time is a family program, we like to caution that it may, on some occasions, touch on what some people may consider mature subject matters. And so your discretion is advised. My name is Roland Gale, and we are in the month of September. September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month worldwide. According to the Ministry of Health, prostate cancer is the most frequent cancer in Jamaica and causes the most cancer deaths among adult males. Part of the reason for that may be that Afro-Caribbean men have a higher risk of prostate cancer than any other population of men in the world. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that? So the importance of testing and testing early has to be emphasized. And that's why we are talking about prostate cancer today. But before we go into all the detail, here is our question that we want you to answer. When was your first or last PSA test done? Send it via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes. And make sure it's no longer than 30 seconds if you're sending a voice note. And the number is 997-3125. And you can call our studio lines at 968-8327 or 968-8328. And you can participate that way. You can also watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on our YouTube channel. We're going to be right back with our special guests. And we have several guests today. There's Dr. William Aiken, and he knows all the things about prostate cancer that we need to discuss tonight. And we have a few good men here who are living to tell the tale. We have Christopher Denny, we have Quinton Yard, and we have Michael Giardini from Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. It's going to be an interesting and very informative program this evening. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back, okay?
First Thessalonians 5 verse 18 says, give thanks in all circumstances. And Ephesians 5 verse 20 says, always giving thanks for all things. Yep, all things. Even the hurt and pain, the disappointment and troubles, accidents and tragedies. But how? How do we give thanks in all things? Join the discussion this Tuesday, October 1 on The Rock with guests Reverend Christopher Broadber and Riken Allen as they discuss the topic Give Thanks for and in All Things. That's The Rock, Tuesday, October 1 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. And welcome to our special guest, Dr. William Aiken. Welcome, Doc. He is a medical doctor, a professor of urology at UWI, and a consultant urologist. He's also immediate past president of the Caribbean Urological Association, past president of the Jamaica Urological Society, immediate past president of the Association of Surgeons in Jamaica. I'm going to take a breath. He's also board member, Medical Council of Jamaica. He is a member of the Medical Association of Jamaica, He's a member of the American Urological Association. He's a member of the European Association of Urology. And he's a member of the International Epidemiological Association. I hope I said that right. And that's just touching the tip of the iceberg. Dr. Aiken, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners.
Great. Thank you for being on with us, sir. Now, all men are at risk of developing prostate cancer, and the risk increases as they grow older. And the number is that 304 out of 100,000 men in Jamaica will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. But you'll never know if you're one of those who never get tested. The good news is that prostate cancer is preventable or curable, but you need to get checked early. So here is our question for the listeners today. When was the first or last time you had a PSA test done? And I'm going to ask everyone to WhatsApp your voice notes or to send us messages. Make sure your voice note is no more than 30 seconds. And you can watch and comment live as well on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. Or you can call the studio lines. And the studio lines are 968-8327 and 968-8328. I didn't tell you what the WhatsApp number was a while ago, so I'll tell you now. It's 997-3125. And on this program, the time just flies past. So we're going to get straight into our discussion with Doc. Want to begin, sir? What is the prostate?
So that's a very good question. So the prostate is what is known as an accessory male reproduction. The primary gland is that produces the sperm cells, and of course the primary organ of the penis. But there are some supporting organs that play a supportive role in male reproduction, and the prostate is one of them. 20% of the ejaculate, when a man ejaculates, 20% of that comes from the prostate, and that fluid is very, very important because it plays a very key role in supporting the sperm cells as they travel in the female reproductive tract. But the prostate also plays another role in that during ejaculation it contracts and helps to block the channel between the urine passage and the bladder. So it has a secretory role and it has a muscular role. And it's very important in reproduction. It also produces an enzyme called prostate-specific antigen, which helps to liquefy semen and makes it very fluid as it flows in the female genital tract. Keeps it fluid. So that's important role of the prostate.
Understood. Got that. I hope everyone who is listening is able to understand clearly what you're saying. In trying to just capture it, it seems to me that it plays a very important role in our reproduction. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. So it plays a supportive role
Right.
in male in production. Yes.
Does it do anything else?
No, essentially what I have said is that it secretes because it's a gland, so it secretes, and it has a muscular role in that
Right.
it closes off the channel between the bladder and the urethra during ejaculation. And as I said, those secretions that it produces are very important in the reproductive process. It is also important in fighting infection in the urinary tract. So a number of agents are secreted by the prostate, which are important in helping to prevent infection in the urinary tract.
Great. What are some symptoms if you have a problem with your prostate? What are some symptoms?
So there are three conditions that affect the prostate. One is prostatitis, or an inflammation of the gland. The other is known as BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia, or essentially a non-cancerous enlargement of the gland. And the third condition that affects the prostate is prostate cancer. Now, prostate cancer and BPH affect the same age group of men, older men. As men age, the prevalence of both prostate cancer and BPH increases with age. Prostatitis can occur at any age, but it tends to occur in younger men. And prostatitis, there are different types of prostatitis, but one of the key features of prostatitis is pain. Pain on ejaculation, pain after ejaculation, pain between the scrotum and the anus, called the perineum, pain in the lower abdomen, pain in the lower back. Pain is a prominent feature of prostatitis. Whereas BPH, some men, as their prostate enlarges, they develop what are called lower urinary tract symptoms due to the enlargement of the prostate. And these symptoms are broken down into two categories. One category is called storage symptoms, because one of the functions of the urinary bladder is to store urine. Okay, so a failure to adequately store urine results in storage symptoms, and these include getting up frequently at night to pass urine. So you're awakened by the need to pass urine, and you get up at night to pass urine. Going frequently during the day to pass urine as well. Not being able to hold your urine, what we call urgency. So when you get a sudden intense desire to pass urine, you cannot postpone or defer it. And if you defer it, you may leak urine, what we call urgent continence. So these are some of the storage symptoms. What we call nocturia, or getting up at night to pass urine, increased daytime frequency of urination, urgency, which is a sudden intense desire to pass urine that you cannot postpone or defer. And if that is accompanied by the involuntary loss of urine, that's called urgent continence. Now, those are the storage symptoms of BPH. If there are what are known as voiding symptoms, because the other function of the lower urinary tract is to pass urine, and this is called voiding. So a failure to void adequately results in your voiding symptoms, and this includes hesitancy. So when you feel the urine to start flow, that's called hesitancy. And then when you feel the urine to start flow, that's called hesitancy. And it doesn't come out in a strong flow, it comes out in a weak manner. Okay, so a weak urinary stream is another voiding symptoms. And then some men may notice that the urine, when it starts to flow, it doesn't flow continuously right to the end, but it flows and stops in an intermittent manner, what we call intermittency. And then at the end of the passing, you may feel empty.
Love 101 invites you to set your day before it begins with midnight prayer and praise, Mondays at midnight. It's the third prayer watch, a period of much spiritual activity. You will be strengthened during this time of prayer and praise. Midnight prayer and praise is during the third watch of the night, the time to strengthen yourself spiritually and seek direction. Time to command your day. Midnight prayer and praise, Mondays at midnight through to 3 a.m. early Tuesday morning. 3 hours to set your day with prayers offered in each hour. Midnight prayer and praise is on the family station, Love 101.
Experience unmatched performance and ultimate control with KYB shocks from Bird's Auto Parts. KYB shocks are perfect for every ride. Choose from a wide range of shocks such as Gas Adjust, Scorch Force, and XLG, which provides superior handling and stability on all terrain for a smoother, safer, and more reliable drive. Choose KYB. Available now at Bird's Auto Parts. Get 15% off your purchase of 2 or more KYB shocks. August 9 to November 8. It hurts if you don't check Bird's.
Looking to add a touch of elegance to your room? The Lighting World by Fosrich is having a massive lighting blowout sale. Get your wall lamps, chandeliers, ceiling lamps, fans, and more at amazingly low prices. Sale begins Sunday, September 29, with up to 50% off selected items. It's the Fosrich Lighting Blowout Sale, September 29. Shop and save only at Fosrich. Open Sundays.
Choose your life insurance coverage, apply, and pay online. Live the E-Life with Sagicor Life. The time by Sagicor Life is
Welcome back. Welcome back to prostate cancer, our topic for today on Family Time. And we want you to tell us, we're going to ask you to tell us, when was your first or your last PSA test done? And in talking a little bit more about prostate cancer, in 2023, of the 5.1% of men 40 years and older who were sent by healthcare providers for a prostate-specific antigen and as a PSA screening test, only 1.9% of men in this age group report ever having done a PSA test. And so joining us now, we have Christopher Denny, we have Michael Giordini, and we also have Quinton Yeard. Hello, gentlemen. How are you all?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to meet with you and your listeners, Roland.
Great. We also have Doc on with us, and that's Dr. Aiken. Thank you for being with us, sir, and for just giving us the foundation, the background before we got into this kind of discussion. And I want to talk to the gentleman for a little bit. We just heard that most men don't take these tests. Is there any problem with taking these tests? Why is it that men aren't doing that? Anyone can jump in.
The mention is constantly made that as Jamaican men, we have a particular machismo or a particular way of thinking, and we're not quick to admit that we may need help along the way, and then the actual test may be described in a way that may strike up some of the concerns that we may have about homophobia in Jamaica. But it's very clear that we need to get beyond that. That's why one of the reasons I decided to become a part of the Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer, because I saw or I've learned and come to appreciate where we need to really do something about awareness of prostate cancer in Jamaica. I'm going to ask Michael to comment about
Go right ahead.
Yes, everything Chris says is so true. The test is seen as being invasive, which it is, but when you measure the importance of having this test done, it pales in comparison.
Right.
By the trained medical professional carrying out the digital rectal examination, I'm sure Shelley and Fraser would run 2 races in the time it takes. It really doesn't take any time at all. And once you relax and the test is done, believe me, even with the PSA test, which is the blood test that Professor Aiken mentioned, both of them in tandem are the ideal way for the doctor, the medical professionals to know exactly what is happening. Because the trained professional will feel the difference in the prostate.
I want to quickly add that if I may, want to quickly add, Dr. Aiken is actually my urologist, and along the way, I remember saying to him as I was going through my experience, I said, "But doc, I don't feel anything." And you're asking a question, Roland, why don't we step forward and take the test? So we would typically go to our doctor when we feel sick.
Right.
You would typically go to a doctor, you feel a little pain, something that you don't understand is happening to you. So you go to the doctor then. But with this condition that I had, I didn't feel any pain. And I said to him one day, I said, Doc, what is going on? I don't feel anything. And he said, well, the truth is, and I hope William doesn't mind my quoting him on here. He says, when you feel the pain, that's when it's too late.
Right.
So we need to get smart about taking the right action. I saw my brother was going to speak, and I went ahead of him. I'm going to ask him to go ahead. Sorry, sir.
Good evening, all. I'd like to add two things to the conversation. PSA tests they're not expensive, but you asked Mr. Gale, why persons do not take the PSA test. One reason is that some persons are just afraid of blood tests. Now, to combine what Christopher said, we have poor health-seeking habits in Jamaica. Men in Jamaica have poor health-seeking habits. So they
Can you repeat that for me again? We have poor what?
Health-seeking habits.
Great.
So you
health-seeking. All right.
You have a problem and you don't go to the doctor. You have it for a while. And when it really gets bad, your partner says to you, listen, you need to go and get that checked out. Yeah, man, soon come on. You're in a lot of pain and you're there forever and a day. And when you finally go, yeah, that is because of fear. Men fear the diagnosis. But the PSA test is not expensive. The gold standard test, as Mike and Chris highlighted, is the DRE, which many men fear. And I say to them, if you were to go on a normal gynecological visit with your wife, you would just pass. Because what a woman goes through for her normal check, women don't go through a quarter. We don't go through that. We need perspective. How can a medical exam be considered sexual? It's beyond me. And it is such a critical test in terms of knowing what's happening with you and the fact that we have such a high prevalence of prostate cancer in Jamaica. it is infidel what occurs. Many say, boy, I'm not going to come now, man, fill up my bottom. But men are dying because of that foolishness. Men are dying because of that stubbornness. Because as Professor Aiken says, when you come to him, it's too late.
It is way too late. Quinton and gentlemen, I wanted to go back to some numbers I mentioned a little while ago. And Doc, I hope that you can either correct me or give us a little more insight. I had said earlier that 304 out of 100,000 men in Jamaica will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. To me, that number sounds small. But can you give us a little perspective on that? What is the number in other populations, and how should we actually understand that number 304 out of 100,000?
Okay, so the number 304 per 100,000 per year was based on a study done quite a long time ago, I think in the 90s, in collaboration with Johns Hopkins. That no other study has corroborated that number, and it was thought to be an erroneous study. The local cancer registry number is in the 70s and 80s. In the Caribbean, the prostate cancer incidence is quite high. In fact, Jamaica does not have the highest incidence. Other countries such as Guadeloupe and Martinique and so on have and Barbados and Bahamas, their incidence is higher than Jamaica. And this is because in some parts of the Caribbean, more screening takes. If you screen more, you're going to detect more cancers.
You're going to detect more.
Right? And
Can
also,
you can you just clarify something? You said that it was in the 70s and 80s. So the actual number is 70 out of every 100,000. Is that the number?
I think the last 78.4 per 100,000 men per year.
Right.
That's the last figure that I'm aware of. So it's the 304 was based on one study out of Johns Hopkins, but our local cancer registries has never corroborated that.
What
Okay,
I want,
but in
what
the
I
Caribbean,
want to do though, sorry, Doc. What I want to do though is I want to get it into people's heads. I want to get into people's heads.
Are you hearing me
although
now?
that number, yes, I'm hearing you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
So the Caribbean, yes, I'm hearing you pretty well. The Caribbean has a very high prostate cancer incidence, but more importantly, the mortality is one of the highest in the world.
Right. What I want to do though is I want to encourage our listeners not to look at that number and think that, oh, it's a small number, so I don't have to worry. Is there a way that you can offer some insight on that number quickly when we come back from the break? Because we're going to have to go for the break now, and we're going to have Reverend Mike with our Word to Flesh moment. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Okay?
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all our sins and heals all our diseases. Someone long ago experienced the supernatural help of God and made a written record of it in Psalm 103. Speaking of diseases, prominent Jamaican urologist Dr. Bill Aiken reports that the disease prostate cancer is extremely common and the leading cause of cancer-related deaths in Jamaica. This report should cause all Jamaican men to wake up and get tested. If you are the spouse of a Jamaican man, help wake him up. The Bible passage I just read assures us that supernatural help is available from God when we are beset with physical diseases. But that does not negate our obligation in the natural realm to take responsibility for our health. Galatians 6 reminds us that we are each responsible for our own conduct. So take responsibility and conduct yourself to a neurologist ASAP and get a prostate exam completed. Yes, gentlemen, we know that a prostate exam can be a bit uncomfortable and hard to stomach. But having cancer is also hard, so choose your hard. Dr. Aiken advises that adequate treatment for prostate cancer is available in Jamaica and is even subsidized through the National Health Fund. If you have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, I encourage you, open your Bible to Psalm 103. Then get on your knees and appeal to God, our Creator, for supernatural help. Perhaps you will find His favor as the writer of Psalm 103 did very long ago. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
Me, busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and box. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
Every Saturday, 7 p.m. to midnight on Love 101. You're invited to travel in time with music at its best. It's a gospel music machine with the gospel music master. From your favorite choir music to Christian contemporary, a touch of reggae and the Caribbean feel. Gospel music machine. Till I play the tune. Yep, the gospel music master is still playing the tunes down alone. And he's definitely your music master. Saturdays, 7 p.m. to midnight. You won't regret the link. It's on the family station, Love 101.
That is all I need. Oximaster makes everything cleaner.
The time by Oximaster, the Stain Blaster, is
The time is 6:03 p.m. according to my clock. It's 3 minutes past 6, and you're tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. And Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Our show this evening is about prostate cancer. It is expected that prostate cancer treatment will affect the patient physically, but it may also affect their mental health and emotional well-being. It can cause mood swings. It can cause changes in memory and concentration. It can cause anxiety and depression. And I want to talk some more. But Doc, before we go on, I want to go back to the numbers. And when I look at it and I see that it is 78 men out of 100,000 men, the analyst in me says, oh, that's very low. But how can we put that in context?
That's not low at all. So let's say Kingston has a population of 1 million. That is 780 men just in Kingston alone.
Right.
That is not a small. 780 men who have been diagnosed with prostate cancer just in the Kingston and St. Andrew area alone. That is not a low number, Roland. So, you know, it may seem low, but it really isn't when it comes to cancer.
Yeah, and it's important that if it is you, 1 is a very, very important number.
Yeah,
if
and
it
as I
happens
said,
to be you.
it is the mortality that we want, because the number of persons with prostate cancer can be artifactually elevated based on the extent of screening. If you screen a lot, we would pick up more cancer. So in other words, that 78 per 100,000 per year is a low number because we're not doing enough screening. If we were doing a lot more screening, our numbers would be more akin to what it is in Guadeloupe and other places where it's 180 per 100,000. So that low number is low because of a low screening. And because of the low screening, we have a high mortality. A lot of people are dying unnecessarily from prostate cancer because we're not doing enough screening. Because the whole aim of screening is to detect the prostate cancer when it is early, when it has not yet metastasized or spread from the prostate and it is still curable, right? So I want to put it in that context so people understand that if we were doing a lot more screening, that number would be a lot higher.
Appreciate that. Thank you for that clarity and for that insight. I want to bring the other gentlemen back in. And while we bring them in, I'm going to ask if they can give us some of their experience. When you went and did your screening, and I assume then you were given the results of it, how did you feel? What was your mindset at that point in time?
Well, if I may, I wanted to quickly share from my experience. I'm a consultant. I worked in the banking industry prior to going on my own in 2018. One of the things that happens when you work in banking is that every year you're afforded a full executive profile set of medical exams, which would include a PSA test. So I automatically, without any effort on my part, just by complying with what my employer required, I was regularly tested. When I went on my own, I thought about it and decided that my family depended on me and that I should continue to do those tests. It is a good thing that I made that decision, because 4 years later, I went on my own in 2018. By 2022, I recorded a high PSA score of 4.65. And then it went to 7.5 or 7.25, thereabouts. So if I did not adapt the practice of regular testing, I would not have known. And I just wanted to stop on that point a little bit to take this opportunity, because I think the most important thing that's happening for us now is that people listening to us on this program, among them may be persons who are not testing. And that is the important message that I think Dr. Aiken is trying to convey, that those numbers that you are looking at may appear low because the rate of discovery is affected by the rate at which we test. And it is best to test and find out early rather than wait when it is too late and you can do nothing about it. You can't save yourself anymore.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you for that. I wanna bring Quinton in. They say ignorance is bliss. If I don't know, what am I going to bother this thing up for? Why am I bothering myself?
And it's great that you bring that up in a circle, because one of the realities that face our men is silence. There are many men in Jamaica who have had prostate cancer and nobody knows. They don't tell anyone. They go through it alone. Just their family members know. Nobody knows. They think that prostate cancer can buy a supermarket. You know? The thing about it is this. There are many ways to approach prostate cancer diagnosis. It don't just happen overnight. My diagnosis took about a year, because they had to test and test. I wasn't as straightforward as some other persons might be. And my father, before me, had prostate cancer. So once I hit 40, I started to get tested. I did not have a company like Chris. This was a decision that I had to make. That, okay, it's in my family. My dad had it, so I am in the firing line. So I owe this now to myself. So every year I went and got tested. So Michael calls it a baseline. So I had what was called a baseline. So when my PSA started to spike or move rapidly or move in direction that my urologist didn't like, they said we have to start paying attention to this. So what we need to understand is that testing is available. It's not that expensive, because the cost of the test doesn't prevent you from being tested, right? You can put your pennies together, you can use your insurance, and the NHF now assists with it as well. So there's no excuse not to at least get the PSA. And remember, DRE can be done at a normal doctor's visit.
Right.
So for me, the critical thing was, and this is what the men need to understand, many men have died from prostate cancer and didn't even know they had prostate cancer. So what you have to do is seek and ye shall find. What you have to do. Listen, I am here. You have to. We are warned that, hey, Jamaica has a lot of prostate cancer cases. We have been warned.
Thank you, Quinton. Sir Mike, I wanted to ask your thoughts. Having been diagnosed, having gone through what you have gone through, what kind of insight would you share with a younger man, a man who is just approaching his 40s? What would you say to that young man?
Get tested. But Roland, if I could, I just found it so interesting because Chris beside me here, he did his procedure, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks?
No, 6th of September.
The 6th of September.
And today is the 30th, so that's 24 days ago.
24 days ago. Quinton did his, Quinton, correct me, about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was.
Right. And last Wednesday, and then last Wednesday was 14 years since I did mine. Now, I had been doing my executive profile just each year. Typically, I would ensure that I do it either in January, between January and March. March is my birthday. So within the first 3 months of every year, I'm sure that I do that, right? And I would urge the men to do it. I will make a special appeal at this time to the women. Ladies, your spouse, your brothers, your uncle, your father, all the male members of your family, the best thing you can give them as a birthday present or anniversary present is a voucher to go and do their an executive profile, or at least the PSA test. We're begging you, we're imploring you. Right. Now, I had been doing mine and for a number of years. And for some reason, it must have been stupidity, I'd stopped for about 2 or 3 years. Then I met a friend of mine one day, and he said to me, "My Mikey, tell me something. You've been doing your prostate." I said, "Boy, it's about 2 or 3 years I haven't done." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to start." I said, "But why did you ask me?" He said, "Mike, I just did it. And I caught it just at the right time." I said, "I don't need anything more, George. I'm going to do it right away." And, you know, you do it. And when I heard the news at first, my urologist called me in along with my wife and said, "Okay, guys, this is what's happening. These are some of the options. Take some time, discuss the thing, and come back to me." Well, I heard, I think, in late May, I told him, "Doc, we had already planned a holiday for July. So when I come back, I'll speak to you." Came back from the vacation in July, and I said, "Well, Doc, here's what we're going to do. I think we're going to go with a robot-aided prostatectomy, which is, as the name says, a complete removal of the prostate with the assistance of robotics." And my wife says to me, "So, Michael, you didn't say anything to me." I said, "But dear, with due respect, I mean, I have to take care of this little temple here, you know." She said, "Okay, fine, we go." You know, so all I can say, ladies, urge the men, follow the pushing, the urging, just for your own health sake, because I can tell you, when it gets out of control, once if they're, well, first of all, it doesn't mean that once you're having problems passing urine, it's prostate cancer, right, Prof? Let me put that out there. That's very, very important. The key thing is get tested. And the greatest fear for me, and I think for everybody, is fear of the unknown. It can't be that you have a thought about something and you don't get it confirmed. Confirm what's happening and then face it.
Yeah.
That's my
Absolutely. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are up on another break. And I want to remind our listeners that this is family time and you're listening to it live on Love 101 FM. And you can also join us on our YouTube page or our Facebook page. And it's produced by Family Life Ministries. For our social media interaction, we want you to tell us, when was your first or last PSA test done? And you can also send us messages via our WhatsApp number. We want to hear from you this evening. And we are discussing the topic, prostate cancer. It's break time. Gonna go now, and we will be seeing you on the other side.
Start your day with a delicious range of lactose cereals. Enjoy cornflakes, Choco Craze, Frosted Flakes, or heart-healthy Raisin Bran. A spoonful of joy with lactose cereals.
Every Thursday morning, Love 101 shares with you power-packed messages, words of encouragement, and testimonies of God's miraculous power. You get all of that in the Don't Give Up broadcast, brought to you by Celebration Church at the Portmore Skating Ring in the Portmore Mall with Pastor Prophet Michael Carter. Be sure to stay tuned to Love 101 for the Don't Give Up broadcast. Get the word you need to start your day right. The Don't Give Up broadcast, Thursdays at 5:15 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. And it is, according to my clock, it's about 17 minutes past 6 in the afternoon. And we are discussing prostate cancer this evening. We have with us some very special guests, more guests than we normally have, and we are happy to have them for the discussion. We had Dr. William Aiken. We also have Christopher Denny, Quinton Yeard, and Michael Giardini. and they are from Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. And I am really interested in how they have lived through this process, what their thoughts are on the process, and I know you listeners are also interested as well. If you have any questions, just send them in so that we can share them with the gentlemen as we continue this discussion. And what I want to ask, because time is really running fast, did you gentlemen have to get any counseling while you were undergoing this process, this procedure?
If I may quickly again, I just want to say that I was grateful for the support that I got from friends, family, and from the Father up above. I had a friend who sent me prayers, and those prayers brought me comfort. I think it was Psalm chapter 29, verse 11, which was talking about how that you could find, how the Lord can bring you peace and comfort in a difficult time. And that brought me great peace and great comfort. You know, a lot of the things that I've done in life where I submit my best ideas, my best answers, my best thoughts, or things that I wrote and I sent in and waited for a response to say whether I passed or succeeded, whether they'll accept my proposal or not accept my proposal. And those are the tough things that I got anxious about. In this instance, I did surgery. I had to submit my whole body. It wasn't something that I could push through a window and go away and come back. I had to submit myself, and it came with all the uncertainty of whether or not I'm going to be okay on the other side. And I'm happy to report, of course, that I am. And going through the journey, just dealing with the fact that you're dealing with something that could take your life, was something that you really have to be very good with how you manage that as a stress factor in your life. And I could not have done it alone. My wife is a tower of strength. Let me not say was. Family, a tower of strength. My brothers, my sisters, they came around me. Even those who are not here, they called me constantly. I have a set of friends that are like selected family. I am blessed, eternally blessed, and the power of the Lord came in to my life.
I love that response. I really love that response.
And it was very, 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 very impactful. So I was able to go through the journey because I went through with my community and with the Lord.
Right. Love that response. Love that response. I want to ask Sir Mike to follow up. What was the role? What was the role of your family and your church when you were going through this? You said it was 14 years ago?
14 years ago.
Fantastic. Can you remember it vividly?
Oh, definitely.
Share with us, sir.
I cannot express adequately. In fact, if I get up in the morning and the first thought is not thank you, Father, for another day, I get upset with myself. Truthfully. Because the support has just been, amazing. And that is what has really influenced me to say, if I'm to go alone, I will. But because there are times you kind of lose the drive and thing, but then thankfully people like Quinton and now Chris and a number of other brothers who have come on and just giving you this new life to keep pushing. Because I can tell you, I made a visit down to the urological ward at the KPH one day, right? And those urologists down there are doing an amazing job.
Sure.
They have clinics 4 days a week. Each day they average 100 men that they're seeing. Now, not everybody has prostate cancer, but they have some complication. And again, I'm looking and I'm saying, my God, no. These are all men 50, 60, 70 years old. And they shouldn't be standing in a hospital in a queue waiting to be processed. We can prevent this. We just need to get those tests done. So again, I just continue to urge people, and again, I'll take the opportunity to thank you, Father. Thanks to my wife, Winsome, my brothers, my sisters, everybody. I just have fabulous set of friends. Yeah. We have support.
Sir Quinton, we're talking about support from family, we're talking about support from church, and of course, the support from God. What really struck you as the most challenging part of the journey that you went on?
The challenging part for me was when I realized that many men died ignorant. They did not know that, one, if they got prostate cancer, that it was curable. So I laid in my hospital bed after the surgery. And Professor Aiken, who was my surgeon, came in the room and I said, I did my surgery just before Father's Day. And I said, Dr. Aiken, if a man knows about this, he's okay. He said, yes. What happens to a man if he doesn't know? And he said, well, that's what happens. So what happened was I wrote in all of the WhatsApp groups that I was in at the time, Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. And fathers, to ensure that you are here for your family, ensure that you get your prostate cancer test. My phone blew up. So my approach at support is a little different. So that is how I ended up joining Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. So now I try to support other men who may not have had the kind of support that Christopher and Mike and myself have. I was selective with who I told about my disease because, when you're in spaces, you don't want people to just support just for support's sake. So I was very selective with who I spoke to about it. And being ill is a very personal thing, right? So people use different strategies. So people might end up going to see a counselor, which I always recommend. There was a pastor I was talking to. I was talking to some medical persons as well who happened to be family members. And then, of course, I had my brother-in-law and my own sibling and my wife. My brother-in-law, I had 4 of them. So, and I made some great friends along the way. So support is very important. My son was going to prep school at the time, and I told all the fathers of his friends what was happening. And I said, I'm telling you this because if your son comes and says, or your child comes and says, boy, Joseph said this, I want you to tell me. And those men were very supportive to me. Strange as all, but some of them are now, as Chris says, selective families. So what I want to tell men is that, listen, it might seem alone, but there is support. We have a contact line for anybody who has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. They can call us at Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. We have a presence in social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. We do respond because we have been taking calls on our private phones for years now. Mike and I have been to doctor's visits with men who we don't know. They just wanted somebody to support them. They were going to the doctor and they said, boy, would you come with me? Not a problem. We will go. Because what I discovered was support was needed. People who have experienced it, who can talk to persons who are experiencing it and say, it's okay. You will come out on the other side. It's okay. Yes, it's painful and it seems dire right now. Seems rough. But no, it's going to be okay. See Mike there? 14 years. My dad is probably 25 now. 25 years since he did his procedure. So it's not a death sentence. And we at Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer would like to add the support aspect to the treatment of prostate cancer in this country. We have great doctors. We have a health system that can treat you, but we also want to let them know they can come amongst a brotherhood of men who have experienced prostate cancer and get that psychological support that is so important. So that's what I want to add. I see your time coming up there.
Sir Quinton, the time is definitely coming up. I want to ask Christopher, please, can you just give us briefly, very briefly, what it means to you to be a brother?
It means a lot to me to be a brother because I got so much help. I want to give back help. I want to issue a challenge to your listeners to find somebody who doesn't know. Find a man who doesn't know that he needs to test. Find a man who is not testing and tell him to test. Say in his case, until he tests. Save a life if you do that. Or you may be saving a life if you do that. One of the things that we haven't mentioned is that the earlier you discover it, the cheaper and easier it is to cure it.
Yes.
Right? That's very important to note. That the longer you wait, the more difficult it is.
Sorry, I'm losing you, Christopher. I'm going to ask Michael if he can just give us his last comments as we wrap up. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not hearing either Christopher or Michael. I'm not hearing either one.
Is this better now? Is this better now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm saying my last word is get tested. You know, we just have to do it for your own. It's selfish not to do it. Let me put it like that. It is selfish not to have health checks done.
Absolutely.
You just need to do it.
Roland,
all right.
You hear me now? Yes. The challenge that I want to issue to your listeners is that you must find somebody who doesn't know or is not testing and challenge them to test.
Great thing to end on.
So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. And I want to say thank you to all of you for being here with us. And to our listeners and viewers, if you have questions of a personal nature or you're concerned about a friend or family member, call us at Family Life Ministries. You can get more information on our services and our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island. I want to leave you with this verse, Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And as the brothers against prostate cancer have spoken to us today, I want to repeat that verse, Joshua 1, verse 9. Be strong and courageous. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks to all the men who joined, Dr. William Aiken, Christopher Denny, Quinton Yaird, and Michael Giardini. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale, our studio facilitator tonight, Timoy Butler, and of course, all of you, our viewers and listeners. Have a great week. My name is Roland, and it was good to be here with you tonight. God bless you.